flowing conversation.
Our mics are hot now.
Hot mic.
Yeah, we had a good turnout, man, on Saturday watching the
Nice.
fights.
Yeah.
Did you watch the roast last night?
Nah,
the Tom
man, I
Brady
didn't watch
roast?
that, dude. I was
I
busy
caught a little
working.
bit of that.
I saw he got mad because the comedian was talking about Robert Kraft,
Yeah.
and he was mentioning his massage. And he kind of went up to him and he said, "Don't mention that shit again."
The best joke was at the end with Brady.
Oh.
I loved it. We'll get into that a little bit.
Was it Randy Moss? He was like,
Oh yeah,
why weren't we cheating when I was here?
Yeah, yeah. He was like, I won everybody. He goes, everybody who came to play for me won ring, except for you, Randy.
Hey man,
it was bad though. It wasn't that good of a roast, man.
Randy was arguably he's one of the better, one of the best receivers in NFL history
All time. Can we open up the chat?
Yeah, we should have that discussion, man.
Yeah,
Like best all-time NFL receivers.
Randy's up there, man.
Randy's up there,
And
man.
people didn't want to give him that those props early on, man. They didn't.
Hell yeah, getting ready for WrestleMania 41, dude. I like
Vegas.
watching me some wrestling too, man.
It's in Vegas this year.
That's
man.
showtime right there.
Yeah, you know,
That's
I don't.
showtime.
I haven't watched wrestling since WWF days, but Vegas, you know, I'll definitely go out there.
It's starting to come up again, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's starting to get interesting now.
Yeah.
That's like chinga. I don't have no place to move. Oh, is it bothering you?
I'm not used to this being so close.
So Mike came in tired, man.
No, dude.
Jet lag.
I kind of feel like $1 million right now, dude.
He's refreshed.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, and we did get some stuff from our boy Tex-Mex Frank, man. I'll show these later.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that Texican hat. Dude. I have one in the car.
That's cool. Yeah.
Dude, what this whole stream does, it doesn't tell me like how much time we have before it gets going.
Oh yeah,
Or do
no.
I have to wait for the bear or whatever that thing is?
Exactly. That's your.
Okay, that's my cue. This creepy ass thing coming up.
It's not the king cake, baby.
Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
What's up, San Antonio? What's up, South Texas? This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from the west side of San Antonio, West Bear County, also represented. Hey, SoCal, Exit 7 also
Yep, you
represented.
already
We
know.
got Fernandez here with
You know
us.
what it is.
Exit 7. We know him, Ric Fernandez, you at the United States Marine Corps. What's going on, my man?
That's all right, man. I'm good,
Lots
man.
to get
Appreciate
into.
you having me.
Do I need to get him closer to me, Joe?
Oh no.
He's
We're
taking
gonna
that
do
on the
is
camera.
we already got everything set up, man.
Okay, very cool. Well, Joe Garcia is producing
There
today's
you
show.
go.
Hey,
There you
see?
go.
Lots.
There it is.
I was
to
waiting
get
for you to
into.
introduce Rick, and then I was gonna bring him on.
Lots to get into today. It was a crazy weekend. Crazy weekend in sports. We
Cinco de
had
Mayo weekend.
we had a big well, first of all, Cinco de Mayo really a thing? I was talking to a
I
friend
mean,
about
it's-
this yesterday.
It's an excuse to. It's like St. Patty's Day, right?
It's
I mean,
an
everybody's
excuse to
Irish.
drink,
Everybody's
right?
Irish on St. Patty's, so
It
You know?
is a white person's Mexican holiday because it means nothing.
yeah.
It
People
means-
don't know what it means. Right?
Exactly.
It's not Independence Day.
People
for
in Mexico look up to us and go, "What is going on with this Cinco de Mayo?" Because we don't celebrate it in Mexico.
Yeah, it's just like I said. It's like St. Patty's Day. It's everyone's Irish that day.
Well,
So,
everybody was Mexican on Saturday night when it came to boxing.
absolutely.
Big Canelo fight.
Mhm.
Pronounce the name Munguia.
Munguia. I'm in Munguia.
There you go. It was a great fight. Barrios also
Yep,
fought this
Barrios.
past weekend.
Mhm.
Big night of fighting. It was a great night of fighting. We're going to get into that.
Absolutely.
We're going to get into the NBA playoffs because I saw this tweet where someone said, "Don't come at me, but I'd rather have Ant than Wemby." And it sounds a little bit sacrilegious here in San Antonio to have this conversation. But Ant, I mean, dude, the guy is balling right now.
He is, man.
And it's one of those things where is it far-fetched to say you'd rather have the ant than the alien? Need to have that conversation. Also saw an article this past weekend. It said that the 2024 NBA draft, which by the way, the lottery is this Sunday.
It is.
We
Yeah,
find out
Wednesday.
where the Spurs are going to pick if we're going to have 1 or 2 first rounders this year.
Right.
Saying that the 2024 first round draft pick or first round of the lottery is the weakest since 2013. That it's the weakest draft in over a decade. But I want to revisit the 2013 NBA draft and kind of see, okay, well, there were at least a few names that popped out even in a weak draft. we'll talk about that as well. In pop culture, Tom Brady was roasted.
Yeah.
It was a 3-hour roast
Sheesh.
on Netflix last night. Caught about an hour of it. Some of it was okay. Some of it was bad. We'll get into that. Our girl from the Baddie Brackets, Dua Lipa.
Oh, man.
She was the host of Saturday Night Live. She did double duty. She was the host and the musical performer. So not bad. Maybe dive into that a bit.
Oh, I know Mike was watching it.
Yes, damn straight. I watched it this morning. But I am back from New Orleans. I am done with traveling for at least a month or so, man, because my daughter called me up. It was like, I went to New Orleans. Well, I went to Charlotte first for work for a few days. Then I went to New Orleans and Baton Rouge to go visit my daughter. She wanted to watch the Killers at Jazz Fest, right?
Yeah.
Come back home. Everything's back to normal. And she's like, Dad, I got free tickets to go watch the Foo Fighters. So I booked a flight, went back out there, and the Foo Fighters went on stage at 5 o'clock. It's a bucket list thing for me to watch the Foo Fighters, one of my favorite bands. And I get over there, and we're having a great time. I'm enjoying time with my daughter. We get to the concert, and I realize there's so many more people here to watch the Foo Fighters than there were to watch the Killers. We need to stand in line, get close to the stage as much as possible before, it gets too crowded and we're like half a mile away. And then at that point, why even bother being at the concert? So we made our way over. We stood there for 4 hours waiting for the Foo Fighters to come out. Then they did their 2-hour set and then the walk home. And I was exhausted. It was a great show. Almost got into one fight. It was a great show. Almost got into one fight at the end of the concert.
Man.
End of the concert. This one guy was being Nestio right next to us. He was drunk off his ass. He was feeling up his girl, trying to grab his girl's butt the entire time. But while he was doing that, my daughter is standing right next to his girl. So inadvertently or consciously or not, he's hitting my daughter's butt. And after a while, I just looked at him. I said, if you touch my daughter one more time, I will end you.
Oh, my God.
And he was bigger than me, but I gave him the look of like, you might be bigger than me, but you're drunk off your ass and I'm sober. And, and my daughter looked at me and said, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. She kind of said, thank you. And the guy wasn't groping her or anything like that, but he was, when you're so tight and you're trying to grab your girl's ass, the back of the hand is touching,
Yeah.
And quit feeling up your girl at a concert, dude. Quit feeling her up. We're trying to enjoy, my hero, Pretender, Everlong.
His girl is his hero, man. That's why he's got to put his hands on the merchandise.
Dude,
on the merchandise.
That guy almost got into a fight with me, the guy behind me, and the guy to the left. Like he was just the only drunk person. He was obnoxious there. Yeah. But then the concert was over, and I'm dehydrated. I feel like trash. Standing up, my back is hurting. I get back to her apartment. I chill out. And she goes, Dad, I signed us up for a 5K in the morning. So then I ran a 5K on Saturday morning, all achy, finished it, got on a flight home just in time to watch the fight. And because of that, no nap time, didn't sleep on the plane. I slept 24 out of 28 hours, dude. And now I feel a little bit back to normal. And that's my rant for the day.
And were the dogs inside or outside when you were asleep?
Oh, dude, I slept an open bag, Nah, man, the dogs are looking at me like, are you still our owner?
Why'd you let us outside?
You've been in Charlotte. You've been in New Orleans. You've been in New Orleans. You're going to Nashville next month. Are you my dog? Are you my owner still? So yesterday, they all came onto the bed and we just chilled out and all took naps.
You need to have the USOA needs to go ahead and sponsor a little webcam just for their mascot Duncan. Dude. They could show live streams of him while we're on the show.
You can be part of the show by going on to our YouTube chat stream. We have lots of people coming on. Mario Cavasso is saying, as of today, Mike's former sports talk employer is 100% white bread. But I love some of those white breads over there. Don't call Pledger white bread. Pledger's my boy. He's my boy. But I love all the guys over there. I love Minix. I love Rob. I love Ryan Eagle and all those guys.
Did you get past the TSA check again?
Oh, dude. Okay. TSA patted me down on the way to New Orleans. But on the way from Baton Rouge to Dallas into San Antonio, not one pat down.
Oh,
but
you were disappointed.
No, dude, the Baton Rouge airport is 4 gates. They got 2 to the right and 2 to the left.
See, I get that pre-TSA check, man. That TSA pre-check, and I just roll right through.
Yeah.
I have an appointment this week to get like my fingerprints done and all that
that's
stuff.
Clutch, man. That's clutch.
Don't have to take off the belt. Don't have to take off the shoes.
Don't
All
have
that
to take off
stuff.
belt, shoes, nothing, bro.
Yeah, I was been hearing that, man. You save a lot of time doing the pre-check.
No, real talk, you do. Like you really do. It's worth it. It's worth it. If you could do it, I would definitely advise.
Joe, excited. Woke up this morning. My sister sent me an article from the Express News, basically saying all the restaurants that are open up on Petrenko outside of 1604, my area. Burger Boy.
Another one.
Burger Boy
Damn.
is making an appearance on
Nice.
Petrenko Road.
Oh yeah.
Nothing wrong
Outside
with
of
that.
1604 by 211.
All right.
So excited about that. We need to get them to become sponsors, man. How do we get Burger Boy? Dude, we talk about them all the time.
I know,
We
man.
had Frank Harris here, UTSA legend. We were talking about Burger Boy.
Mhm.
But it's going to be a great show because we have Fernandez here, Ric Fernandez,
Yep.
coming in from San Diego, California, or
Yep.
close to it.
Absolutely.
Now, you are big into boxing, right?
Oh yeah.
And-
I woke up this morning. I woke up at 6 a.m. to watch fights from Japan.
There you go.
Anyway,
There you go.
Oh yeah.
The thing about it is that there's no better thing than a good boxing fight.
Big fight. Oh yeah.
that
Big
actually
fight.
lives up to the buildings. We have Munguia going up
Mhm.
against Canelo, right?
Yep.
And there was a lot of drama going up to it, and I think a lot of the drama leading up to it is always BS, right?
Yeah.
It
Selling the
always
fight, marketing.
it's to sell
A
the
lot of it is
fight.
marketing.
But I
yeah.
kind of got the feeling that this was actually bad blood. That they
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
did. The camps hated each other.
Oh yeah. Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo have history and bad blood. So Oscar is Munguia's promoter.
First
So-
4 rounds, I thought Munguia was up.
Yeah.
Up until he hit the
Well,
canvas.
the first 3 rounds. Yeah.
First 3 rounds, I
yeah.
had Munguia up 2 rounds to 1.
Yeah,
And
I had him 3-0.
3-0.
I had Munguia winning
Okay.
all 3 of the first rounds, and then Canelo that 4th round.
That Canelo that 4th
Yeah,
round got that uppercut,
Yeah.
and it was one of those things where it's almost like Canelo let him tire himself out. Like you were a
Sure.
power puncher.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna take your swings,
Mhm.
and the swings were so wide
Mhm.
that he was trying to get out there,
Yeah.
and Canelo was just picking his spots.
Yes.
And was even, I hate to say it this way, even allowing himself to get hit a little bit
Mhm.
just to kind of get himself in the position that he wanted to be in.
You're right.
Munguia would get Canelo up on the ropes.
Yeah.
And somehow Canelo would actually use that to an advantage.
Right.
Typically, you get up onto the ropes and you're cornered that way.
Right.
You are at a disadvantage. Canelo was going
Sure.
out there and just slugging away, uppercutting from there. It's like, get closer,
Right.
so I can keep uppercutting you.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. There's the elite fighters can fight off the ropes. And
Yeah.
that's a skill that's tough to master. But if you can fight off the ropes, like you said, 9 times out of 10, it's a detriment to have your back against the rope.
Yeah.
The guy putting you against the rope is usually winning.
Mhm.
But the greats like Canelo and Pernell Whitaker and even Floyd, those guys, they can fight off the ropes. They even use it to their advantage, and they use that aggression to the other person's disadvantage. But I agree. I think and this is something Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. would do. He would literally give away the first 3 rounds and download data, as they say.
Oh, there you go.
And you watch and you see in the timing, and you're watching the feet, you're doing all this stuff because Canelo knew he was gonna, take over, right? So you're almost willing to give up those 3 rounds. So that is an astute observation. It really is. I'm not being like it is, because that is exactly what he was doing.
Mhm.
It's exactly what he was doing. He was letting him win the rounds, quote unquote, to download the data, see the timing, see his feet, see his movement, and you saw what happened with that 4th round uppercut.
Now, Munguia, though, what I found interesting, though, was that Canelo had an opportunity to seal the deal
Mhm.
after knocking him down in the 4th
Right.
in the 4th round. But Munguia it took about a round and a half to kind of like get his head straight and
Yeah,
go, okay,
yeah.
I'm back in it. And Munguia was trying to do his thing, but at this point, Canelo was controlling the fight.
Right.
He was getting the jab in. Canelo was also getting, what they say, head body.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He was getting
Yeah.
that action going
Mhm.
on there, and Munguia just couldn't rev the engines
Mhm.
up. I mean,
Right.
he never had Canelo in trouble like
Right.
he did in the 3rd.
Right.
2nd and 3rd, I
Yeah.
thought, man, Canelo might go down,
Right.
but he never got that up again. It was a good fight the entire way.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought that at the end of the fight that Munguia and Canelo kind of respected each other a little bit.
Right.
Canelo is still the man right now
Right.
at that weight class, but we see that Munguia might actually be the future.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I agree. And I think no shame in Munguia. I mean, he fought a good fight. He was there. He was hanging around. And this reminds me a little bit of Floyd Mayweather when he fought Canelo, where Canelo lost, but he learned a lot. So Munguia in that loss, I think he can gain a lot. He didn't get battered or beaten or anything like that. He didn't get stopped. So I think Munguia learns a lot from the loss, and it's not a shame on him, and he can take this, and develop from it. I really think he can, because there is a such thing as a a good loss, I guess, if you want to call it that in boxing, where you learn.
Yeah.
You learn. I mean, at the end of the day, Munguia, yeah, he has 44 fights, but like I said, if you look at his resume, he haven't fought anybody at the level of Canelo. So,
But he showed that he
that's
belongs.
exactly. He showed he belonged, because I tell you what, he could have easily gotten blown out in that 4th round, and then we would have said, okay, he didn't.
And we
But-
have the video of
but-
the knockdown right now.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
knockdown in the
We'll
fourth
show it
here.
right now.
Yeah, he definitely showed he belonged. Because I tell you what, that was a tough knockdown, and a lot of people would have crumbled in that round. A lot of people would have said, "Yeah, I'm done." But he showed heart, man. He showed heart.
He sprung back up, and
Yeah.
and the stat that Munguia threw 127 more punches
Oh, he was
than
busier.
Canelo.
Yeah, he was
But
definitely.
Canelo
busier.
landed 64 more.
Yeah,
he
I
was
mean,
more
the
accurate.
percentages
Yeah. It
were
was
that much greater.
Yeah, it was accuracy versus accuracy and pinpoint power versus the activity of Munguia, which. And I kind of figured that going in. He's younger, he's stronger. He was going to be aggressive. He was going to be more busy.
It was youth against experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
is what it was.
Right.
Because if the
Yeah.
opposite was true, if Canelo came in at Munguia's age and Munguia had Canelo's experience, the opposite would have happened. Right.
Sure.
But that's where experience kind of comes into play. We see Canelo going out there and just, I mean, it was just a laser focus.
Yeah.
And he didn't get thrown off his, and like I said, the first 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Maybe he was throwing those rounds, but he was getting hit.
Yeah.
Let's
He
not
was.
say that he
Yeah,
wasn't.
he was.
Absolutely.
Munguia was
The thing with-
tattooing him.
The
Yeah.
thing with Canelo, though, that people don't appreciate is that Canelo's a tactical fighter.
Yeah.
He's not going to come out swinging from the get-go, and like Rick was saying, he's going to go ahead and give away those 3 rounds or so. He's downloading the data, getting that distancing, getting his timing down and everything. And sure enough, man, he worked Munguia. And the thing is, Munguia, if he already is a student, he knows how Canelo is. Man, he should have came out swinging from the get-go,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Try to get him in those first 3 rounds, because
Yeah.
that's going to be your best shot.
Right.
Well, the joke I made after the 3rd round was Munguia had shaved off Canelo's beard into a goatee. He was just shaving the side of
Yeah.
his face the
Yeah.
entire
But
time.
Munguia's the bigger fighter. He had the
is.
longer reach.
Mhm.
He was taller, man. He didn't use that to his
Yeah.
advantage much.
Yeah.
He could have had that jab all night because of the
Right.
reach.
Yeah.
It was
for sure.
it was a great fight.
It was a
I
good
mean,
fight. It
I
was,
would say
yeah.
at the end of the day, if you were to give it a letter grade, it was a B+, A-
Yeah.
type of night.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a night where you're gonna have it wasn't an epic fight. It wasn't one of the
Right,
greatest of all times.
Right.
Now, would I like to see a rematch? Because that oftentimes happens.
Mhm.
Maybe, but I'd rather see a Haney versus Ryan Garcia
Yeah.
type of thing. What are your thoughts, by the way, when Ryan Garcia got popped for PEDs twice?
Yeah.
How
man.
surprised were you?
Oh man, that's what I kind of it's sad, man, because that was a great win for Ryan. That was an amazing performance. He fought the fight of his life. Not too many people gave him a chance, and for him to come out like that, it's frustrating, because now things are tainted. Now things are in question.
Right? Does it even count as a win at that point?
Well, and I've seen different things where the commission can go back and turn it into a no contest.
Right.
Basically saying, hey, it never happened, which would restore Devin Haney's undefeated record. Obviously we know what happened physically in the ring,
But he was also 3 pounds heavier.
Yeah, it was 3 pounds heavier. It's just, it's one of those, like we talked about, where we're all talking about it, so it's good for that marketing and the controversy part of it. But for actual like boxing purists, it's kind of a slap in the face, to come in dirty, coming overweight. It's just not a good look for Ryan, man. Now, of course, people are gonna like the villain and enjoy the marketing standpoint from it, but I'll see how long this lasts. I feel like Ryan, the way he's going, man, is like he could flame out. Because it's just too much, man. It's just a lot. So it's interesting.
The mind's a fragile thing, man, with Ryan,
absolutely.
dude. It's like, you know what? You don't want to bring unnecessary attention to yourself. I know you want attention because he's great at what he does as far as being out there on social media.
Yeah.
Whether you love him or hate him, you got to respect the game, dude. He's the fighter that everybody's talking about. But at the same time, you don't want that bad publicity on you.
Yeah.
It tarnishes what you were already doing. This was a big win for Ryan.
It was.
Absolutely.
You know?
Oh, huge.
It was, especially
Monster win.
the way that he was acting beforehand.
Right,
and
yeah.
people were asking the question,
Sure.
is he taking this seriously? Now,
Right.
someone that people are taking seriously this day, Mario Barrios of San Antonio,
Absolutely.
Texas.
Yeah,
Oh,
baby.
man.
absolutely. Let me tell you, we were talking about it the night of the fight. You want to talk about he's fought, in this day and age of fighters who duck fighters or doesn't want smoke, whatever you want to call it, Mario Barrios is the anti-duck. That dude has fought, Tank, and he gave Tank a good fight,
He
a good
did,
run
yeah.
for his money, right? And no shame in losing to Tank because he's one of the best fighters in the world. Then right after that, he goes against Keith Thurman, who's a legend and a very tough fighter. Lost those. a lot of people would have packed it up after that. He goes against Ugas after that, who's a very accomplished Cuban fighter, and he beats Ugas, right? Putting him back on the map, Barrios. And then he had a good win this weekend over Fabian Maidana, Chino Maidana's brother. Those of y'all who know Marcos Maidana, who gave Floyd a bunch of fits. Chino Maidana, Fabian Maidana is his younger brother. Hey, those Argentines come to fight. Those dudes are tough.
That kid was no slouch, man. He put on a show
so
too,
for
man.
Barrios to fight that stretch of fighters, that's impressive.
Now, Barrios right now at 28 years old, kind of at a crossroads of his career, because you're either going to get old at this point or you're going to get the bigger fights, right? He was 26-0 going up against Tank Davis when he, like you said, he showed a great effort agast Tank Davis right there. But then also lost to Keith Thurman before getting back-to-back victories now, 3 in a row, kind of riding the ship a little bit as well.
Right.
We're going to see probably the next 2 or 3 fights that this guy is going to actually, I don't want to say live up to potential because I think he already has. Right. But if he's going to be an even bigger name and be more of a draw than what he is right now, as opposed to being the third fight in a 5-card.
Yeah, and he's 147 pounds, so he could be in the mix for a Ryan Garcia or somebody.
There you go.
I mean, he'd be. And here, the thing about Mario Barrios is he's exciting and he always brings the action. So any big name would want him in the ring.
Look at Mario Cavazos here, man. He says hypothetically, if David Benavidez takes down Canelo, and you could have a Jaime Munguia and Benavidez fight, that would be a good one.
Absolutely, yeah. David Benavidez is going to fight at light heavyweight in June. He's in the mix to fight Canelo. Everybody's been clamoring for that fight. But yeah, Munguia Benavidez would be good. But going back to Barrios, like I said, he's at that crossroads where are you going to be a gatekeeper, for young fighters that say, hey, he's a good fighter, but you feed him to the young guys, or is he going to be a name and a champion and a star? He can be. And what I love about this is this day and age, everybody's, as soon as you lose that O, everyone's like, oh, you're done. That just, it's unfortunate, right? It's kind of Floyd kind of had that whole, hey, it's all about the O. It's all about being undefeated, right? Barrios, that's a throwback. You look at, Ali, Leonard, they have losses on the record and didn't do nothing. It never faded their shine. So Barrios is one of those throwback fighters who he'll get in the ring with the toughest fighters, and if he takes the L, he takes the L. But he's gonna bring it. And a loss isn't gonna deter him. So good for Barrios. And then again, he's a San Antonio guy, man. He's puro, right? He's one of ours. So having him out there representing, and he had the San Antonio on his trunks, and he's always repping. It's good. It's good publicity for us. We talked about having Jesse James Leah on here and talk about the resurgence of San Antonio boxing, right? And guys like Barrios, Bam Rodriguez, who will fight in June in Phoenix. It's like a renaissance period for San Antonio boxing.
And what I like about Barrios and that particular weight class is that they fight a lot. It's not like the heavyweights who go out there and fight once a year, that.
That's all they got to do to retain their belt.
You'll get about 3 or 4 fights per year. Every 4 months, ready to go. Barrios isn't making big money, but he's making good money. Against Tank Davis, reportedly
he's sponsored by Thomas J. Henry, bro. Come on.
Well, there you go.
He's got some money, dude.
But
in the scheme of like the De La Hoyas and but he's doing well for himself. But
the one thing though that's a knock on me about Barrios, dude, is that sometimes he just can't help himself, man. He's that Mexican fighter.
Yes.
And it's a pride thing. We talked about this, dude.
We did. Yeah.
When you get caught in the middle of the ring, dude, it's about a pride. You want to duke it out. You want to swing, and he needs to go back to just being that boxer because Barrios, man, he took some damage, dude. That eye was swollen shut.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that eye is tough. And I feel like that's always plaguing him because he always has issues with that eye. So it kind of reminds me of Gaddy, where the scar tissue is already hurt, where as soon as he gets touched, it just comes back again and again and again. So he definitely has to be careful with that eye because every fight it's usually that same eye that kind of pops up,
or the nose too.
Right,
he gets hit on that nose.
For sure. Yeah, but like we talked about that night of the fights, and again, thanks Joe for having us for the fights, and our boy Matt Lermo was out here, Mark Cavazos, of course, Steph and I. So thank you for having us for the fight night.
Yeah, man.
Barrios has tools. He's tall, he's long, he can jab, he can move, but you start getting that Aztec warrior that comes out the moment you get touched, and then you go to war, which now you're giving and that's what happened with Tank. You're giving your opponent the opportunity to tag you because he can box and move and jab on the outside and use those physical tools. But as we know, those of us, from that are puro, the moment I get hit, all that goes out the window. all that technique and all that stuff goes out the window. So you love it, but you hate it too. You know what I mean? That's what you love. You love to see these guys go to war, but when you're watching it, you think to yourself, like, man, he could have made this a little easier on himself.
Hey, but this was the start of something that's going to be kicking off a really great year of boxing. So May the 4th, you have the Canelo Munguia fight. And then what happened today?
Oh, this morning
fight,
from Japan. Here's you appreciate this. Japanese fighter, 122 pounds, put 55K in the Tokyo Dome this morning. Well,
Nice.
Monday night in Japan.
Yeah.
But 55K. Think about that in the Tokyo Dome, right? Naoya Inoue, and the dude's a monster. He's a beast.
Oh, okay. Is this the guy that is like a rock star?
Oh, yeah.
In Asia,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but no one's fighting him in the United States.
Yeah, exactly. He fights strictly in Asia and Japan. The dude's a rock star, 27-0, 24 knockouts. He got dropped actually for the first time ever today. He got dropped by Neri with the overhand left, and but he stayed calm, he stayed poised, and then he knocked him out, and it was brutal.
All you can do when you get hit like that, dude, you can just tip your hat to the other fighter.
Yeah.
You got me. You got me, man.
Yeah,
you got me.
You got me. Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more boxing later on, but did you see? I'm gonna show my screen real fast.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened at a missions game Friday night in Arkansas?
Let me go ahead and
This
switch
made news nationwide. Not as big as I thought it was going to be, but take a look at this. What happened in the missions game? A player for the missions was on second base, and the manager got out on the field and says, "You're out of the game. You're out of the game." What? What's going? He's like, "Me? You're talking to me? I just got a double. Why? And why are you putting in a pinch runner?" And the reason is, it wasn't because they wanted a pinch runner to get him out of the game. They're going to inform him on the spot, you've been traded to the Florida Marlins farm club.
Oh, wow.
They took him off the field
Man.
to say that you got traded. And then they said, is anybody else traded? They stopped the game so that the manager can say, well, wait a minute. There's one more other player that got traded. And those two players, the one going up to bat, by the way, you're gone. Actually, no, it's another one of these guys. So they just walked up the first base line.
Play timeout.
Grab your glove and your bats. These two guys were gone. They were sent packing mid-game Friday.
Now, but is this like a call-up, like a good thing or not?
It was
or
lateral
trade?
Lateral trade.
Okay. It would have been cool if it was a call-up.
Yeah.
Right, that would have been cool.
No, but
hey, this is some Moneyball stuff.
You know
what? This reminds me of
great.
Remember Moneyball? Where Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill are talking.
Yeah.
And he's telling him like, "Hey, you need to learn how to, let these players know that they're gonna be traded."
Yeah.
And so they're like role playing it, And he's like, Jonah Hill's like, "Oh, maybe you should, not move your kid during school." He's like, "What's wrong with you?" Yeah, Brad Pitt's like, "What's wrong with you?" He goes, "They're professionals. Just tell them that they're gone, and here's their travel agent, and move on." You know, and that's the GM life, right? But it's true. It makes sense. But Jonah Hill, he's new at this, so he's trying to be like emotional about it and talking about like, well, if your kid's at school, maybe you should wait. And, it's funny, but that's what reminded me.
Look at this, man. Chris Gonzalez put a few years ago, a Mets player got traded and started crying.
He did. Now the two players that got traded for the missions, one is named Nathan Mortola. He was on second base. He was the one going, me?
Yeah.
Jacob Marcy is the other player that were taken, and it was part of a big trade involving the San Diego Padres and the Florida Marlins that happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
So
those are pretty sick jerseys, though, man. Those San Antonio jerseys were
the ones they gave away during Fiesta Week. The Gaiveras,
Mm-hmm.
but they were like they had the pinstriping on there,
right,
like the stitching of the ball.
Right.
That's
cool.
That was fire, dude.
That's super cool. Yeah.
Hey, when are we going to find out when Wemby wins Rookie of the Year?
Tonight on TNT.
Is that it?
Yes.
They made the announcement today?
They made the announcement.
Yeah.
It's going to be tonight, and tomorrow is Defensive Player of the Year.
We got some announcements here because I know that the Jefe was putting some stuff out. So before we get to that, we're going to go ahead and pause real quick so we can go ahead and give a shout out to the one and only Jeff Garcia of Locked On Spurs. Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
Again, I follow Jeff Garcia on Locked On Spurs on social media. Follow him on Spotify and also on Twitter as well at Jeff G Spurs Zone. You can also search Locked On Spurs. He does have an article today on Kens5.com about how former Spur Thiago Splitter had his Baskonia jersey retired and wants to one day become a head coach. Thiago Splitter, man, one of those guys where it's one of those role players I really liked back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
He was never a star.
Yeah.
He did his role, did a lot of the dirty work out there.
Screens, right?
Screens,
Yeah,
get the boards,
yep,
dive for the ball.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, I need me some Thiago Splitter in my life. But again, as you mentioned, we might be getting word tonight, hopefully, that Victor Wembanyama is Rookie of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, which, by the way, last year was announced on April 17th. And we are now May 6th. They have yet to announce it. So part of me is thinking that maybe it might be a closer vote than we all thought. I firmly believe that if that article from The Athletic came out 1 week before, where they surveyed over 100 NBA players and they asked the question, who's the best defensive player in the league? And they also, not all, but the highest percentage went to Wemby.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of voters would have taken notice of that.
Right. True.
Because that's just the thing. But I think he'll get runner-up when it comes to it.
Yeah, I think Rookie of the Year is definitely locked, but I think that Defensive Player of the Year is going to be closer than we think. I really do. And again, we're our guys Wemby, but just looking at it, even trying to look at it objectively, and we know the politics of it. We know it. Come on, let's Mike that does a good job. People hate on Mike sometimes, but he does a good job of just being real. Like, not saying that it's fair or not saying that I agree with it, but that is the reality we live in. We live in a reality where people are going to say, well, the Spurs record, and that's why, and again, not that it's fair or right, but that's the reality, so unfortunately. So I do think it's going to be closer than we think. And I think just him getting some votes as a rookie and even making it a discussion, I think that's something pretty formidable.
It's a big deal. Now, the reality we live in right now is that Anthony Edwards might be the best player in all of the NBA right now. My God. Timberwolves tonight going up against the Nuggets. Timberwolves stole game one, stole home court advantage in the Western Conference semifinals. It's
not a game until someone wins.
106-99, unless the road team wins, and it already happens.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards goes out there, 43 points, 17 of 29 shooting. Dude also had 7 rebounds, a couple of blocks along the way, 3 assists. The guy is just a mercenary out there. And I called this, by the way, when people were asking me for the dark horse of who's going to win the NBA Finals, a couple of weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was saying who? I was saying the Minnesota Timberwolves.
No.
Why? Because they have the best defense in the NBA, and also because they have Anthony Edwards, dude. That guy is just such a stud out there. And my goodness, he is living up to it. Now they're taking it to the defending champion Nuggets. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a 4-game or a 5-game series. It might go 6 or 7.
Yeah, this is a battle.
But what answer do you have for Anthony Edwards? Because he's being compared to, someone asked a question on Twitter the other day. Is he the next Jordan? Is he the next Kobe? Is he the next T-Mac? Because he looks like all three right now.
You know how you control Anthony Edwards? He has a hot temper, bro. Go at him, dude. Get under his skin. He's going to throw him off his game.
But I mean that's true. That is very true. But he also is the one that dishes it out as well.
Oh yeah,
he talks a lot. He talks a lot of trash. Even like that movie with
Hancho and Sancho.
Our guy, our Spurs legend, Juancho, right?
But you look at Anthony Edwards and what he's been able to do. And I saw this tweet earlier this week where this guy said, "Look, no offense to Wemby. He's not a San Antonio guy. He said no offense to Wemby, but over the next 5 to 10 years." I'd rather have Edwards. And I thought about it, and I thought to myself, how dare he? And then I go back and I watch Anthony Edwards play, and I go, I get it. Because I think Spurs fans are of the belief that Wemby's going to be so much greater than every other player in the NBA. That might not be true. He might be one of the best players in the NBA, and from time to time be the best player in the NBA. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be tier 1 by himself and that there's everyone else is going to fall underneath him. I don't think it's an insult to say that you'd rather have Edwards at this point than you would rather have Wemby. Your thoughts? Yeah,
I think, and no disrespect to Edwards, but we've seen this before. I mean, and I think that's where my mind goes. And again, I'm trying to be impartial. Obviously, we're San Antonio, we're Wemby guys. I get that. I think the way I look at it though is like, Wemby's size, the way he handles the ball, like the intangible things that he has that we've never seen before, have the potential to be out of this world and great. I'm not saying we don't know him, right? What if he doesn't? But
we've seen the worst of him.
Right. That's what I'm saying,
and it's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So and Edwards, and he's balling. I mean, he's balling. But we've seen Grant Hill ball. No disrespect to Grant Hill, for instance, right? They were calling him the next Jordan, the next this, the next that. We've seen Penny Hardaway. We've seen these guys. All I'm saying, I'm not trying to disrespect Anthony Edwards. He's doing great. He's doing phenomenal. I think he's going to be one of the top players of the league and future MVP candidate. But to say you would rather have him than Wemby, I just think looking at it from we've seen a player like Anthony Edwards before in this league. I don't think we've ever seen a player like Wemby in this league before.
Well, the problem is that
we just don't. So we don't know the potential. Where we're going.
The problem we have there. You mentioned two players right there who didn't live up to their potential, not because they weren't great, because they got hurt.
Sure.
Grant Hill. We'll never know what Grant Hill was. Grant Hill, still a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
we'll never know.
Right. Sure.
As far as a 7'4", 7'5" guy come into the league and take it by storm, we have seen that in Ralph Sampson, early '80s. Then he got hurt, and we don't want to see that happen to Wemby as well.
Right. Yeah, we also had somebody that actually jumped the gun here. I don't know if you all saw this, but they were posting this all over social media, man, the other day.
Yeah.
So apparently Dick's Sporting Goods on the south side of town
already
has the release. They released early the Rookie of the Year T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they've already taken that down, because I know Fernandez was telling me that Mark Burnett had put this out. He tags Fernandez and Chicana Fuerte in the post. And also Spurs Jesus
had this out. Him and his son were rocking these shirts yesterday.
So if you were quick enough with it, man, you went and got these shirts, because I'm sure they told him to take it down already.
Hand over fist reaching out to us on our YouTube stream saying Southside Dicks.
So soon.
Maybe the best pronunciation should have been the Dick's Sporting Goods on the south side.
Yeah.
JHNSB comes on and says, just put a Wolves jersey on already. Damn. What did I say that was wrong? Matt Lerma. Yeah. Wemby's tier 1 and everyone else is beneath him in all caps. I will say maybe that'll be the case in 2 or 3 years. Sure. But as of right now, if you were to rank right now the best players in the NBA right now, go 1 through 25, which is weird because Wemby didn't even make an All-Star team this year.
Yeah.
Wemby is right now a top 10 player.
Right.
He's not 1. He's not even 5 right now. He will eventually, maybe as early as next season.
Yeah.
He just ain't there yet.
But it's still
Anthony
impressive.
Edwards is.
It's impressive to do that your rookie year with a team that is lacking, that we know. So I guess you got to look at, where was Anthony Edwards his rookie year, right? Were we talking about him as a potential MVP candidate? I mean, I don't think we were his rookie year. So I'm just saying, kudos to Anthony Edwards getting his team where they need to be. I'm still not convinced. I mean, Denver, hey, they're the defending champs. They're gonna fight. So we'll see. But what Anthony Edwards is doing is amazing. It really is.
You know what I did like right here that we need to talk about, because we're kind of talking about Ant, we're talking about Wemby. Why aren't we talking about the video that came out, the new Nike hype video, showcasing one Victor Wembanyama, man? We'll play a little excerpt of it here.
Sick.
We can't play the audio because we don't own the license for it. But the cool thing is, as you see this field with the alien logo in it, they have the same
the fan
that had that
fan with the red hat. Yeah, I love
reaction piece there.
So they got the whole "Who do you believe in aliens?" The fan is out in like a cornfield.
That's great.
That is awesome.
That's great.
Whoever thought of that is really cool. I love that. I really do.
Yeah, and this is something that Nike released. This is their official video, so make sure you go and give it some love if you're a Spurs fan. I thought it was great.
That's great, and I love how the alien had the Nike logos.
The Nike logos on the side,
exactly.
and it's like a basket. It's like a basketball, right in the middle. And
we need those shirts.
That's
Do you believe with Wemby, the alien logo on it? That'd be fire.
I like it. Mario Kovacic reaches out to us and says, if Anthony Edwards takes the Wolves to the finals, I'll give him his flowers. He may well, in fact, because this right here is the Western Conference Finals for me.
Yeah.
The two best teams in the West are happen to play each other in the semis right now.
Yeah.
By the way, I had to look it up. Anthony Edwards averaged 19.3 points as a rookie. So he did come out of the gates,
which is on par with Wemby, right?
Yes.
And I'm not saying Anthony Edwards was didn't ball in his rookie year. I'm just saying I think maybe it's on par and maybe it's similar, right?
Very
similar. Yeah.
Now we're going to find out Sunday whether or not the Spurs get 2 first-round picks because again, right now we have our pick,
and the potential
for
the
Toronto's.
pick,
I believe it's a 54% chance.
Yeah, six pick protected.
Yes,
It's
top six protected.
Yeah.
Someone tweeted at me the other day asking the question, how do the Spurs get that pick? Well, two things need to happen. The Raptors cannot get a top 4 pick.
Yeah.
So they cannot win the lottery. Again, remember, winning the lottery means top 4. It doesn't mean number 1. If the Spurs get the number 2 pick or the 3 pick, we won the lottery because that means you moved up. Okay. So top 4 means you win the lottery. Right now, the Spurs have a 40 some odd chance of winning the lottery, going up to the top 4. So we're going to be somewhere between 1 and probably 8.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Now, that pick from Toronto is top 6 protected. So if Toronto comes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, it stays with them. Now, we need Toronto to not win the lottery, and we need one of the teams from 7 through 14 to leapfrog over them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then we get their pick. The question becomes, do we even want their pick right now? Because this is considered to be the weakest draft. Last year was a strong draft. This is the weakest draft since 2013, according to a lot of columnists out there. USA Today.
They say that every year, though.
No, but they're right. They're right.
Well,
but they say that every year.
I think,
dude. I got to
hindsight.
I got to push back on Joe on this one.
Yeah,
they get this right more often than not, because what were they saying last year? They were saying last year that Wemby was what? The greatest talent since Michael Jordan, right? The greatest talent in more than 20 years to come into the league, and they got it right.
Yeah.
When it comes, and that's why when it comes to these draft picks, these first rounders, they're not all built the same. If you have the number 4 and 8 pick in 2020 last year compared to this year, last year's picks are so much better than this year's, and 2025 is considered to be a big, strong draft as well.
Right.
So if you look back at it, Joe, there's been some drafts that have been strong, and some that have sucked ass. And 2013 sucked ass. Here was the number 1 pick in 2013.
You have it on screen?
I have it on screen.
The biggest bust.
Anthony Bennett was the number 1 pick in 2013. Anthony Bennett. Number 2 pick was actually an all-star, Victor Oladipo.
I remember
number 3, Otto Porter Jr., who had a decent career, but I mean, number 3 overall. Cody Zeller, Alex Len, Nerlens Noel, Ben McLemore, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's had a decent career.
Right.
Trey Burke, CJ McCollum, who's had a decent career. Michael Carter Williams, who won the Rookie of the Year. It was the 11th pick. Steven Adams, good career. Kelly Olynyk, decent career.
Just solid career guys.
Shabazz Muhammad. Okay, so 1 through 14. I think CJ McCollum might have been an all-star once, right? So you got 2 all-stars and 3 role players and 10 busts.
Yeah.
9 busts. Number 15 was the best player of that draft, Giannis. Giannis came out at number 15, and then we have a bunch of crap thereafter. Yeah. Rudy Gobert was 27.
See, it's one of those in hindsight things where if they redrafted that, right, they obviously Giannis would be 1 and so on and so forth. But at the time, you didn't know that. Like, they didn't know Giannis was Giannis at that time.
How about this, though? The Spurs drafted Livio Jean-Charles.
Oh, right? I remember Livio Jean-Charles.
1 spot behind Rudy Gobert. If Rudy Gobert,
Frenchman too.
If Rudy Gobert was available, do you think the Spurs would have gotten Rudy Gobert?
Probably,
I don't know.
Well, this was 13, right?
2013.
So this is the year after.
This was
the
disappointing year.
Yeah.
The finals.
So Livio Jean-Charles, who never came over. He
never came over.
He never crossed over.
No, but the Spurs always hit, baby. We've been told that story all the time. They always hit.
Yeah, but I'm saying the thing is like when you're going into the draft, I mean, even if you're winning a top pick, I mean, there's no guarantees, you know. And they always tell you every year, hey, this is a weak draft. This year's a weak draft. I hear that all the time. The thing is, anytime you're drafting at all is you're a team going in there and you need some help, you're taking a gamble, dude. It's just like the Vegas odds. Is this player gonna pan out or not? And unfortunately for the Spurs, if we look at their track record over the last couple of years and some of their picks in the draft, where are these guys at now? Most of them are gone. Or they're not even in the league anymore.
The last 5 years, you have Josh Primo is no longer with us.
Yeah,
we have
Lucas Samanic.
Lucas Samanic is no longer
gone.
with us. Keldon Johnson,
Lonnie Walker, gone.
Keldon Johnson's probably the next one out the door.
Yeah.
It just kind of is what it is when it comes to drafting. The Spurs are living off the laurels of we were a good pick. We were good at finding gems 15, 20 years ago.
I'm sure you could say the same about a lot of teams, though. Well, I mean, I'm sure you could say that about a lot of teams. That look at, I mean, other teams are in the same situation where you draft and they didn't pan out. I mean, it's a crapshoot. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Of course, we look back and say, hey, they found Manu, and they found Tony and all that, and I mean, I think they drafted well for being late first rounders like Keldon and Lonnie, who, I mean, you're not with us anymore and that kind of stuff. But it is a crapshoot. It's tough, man. It's
with this draft, by the way, there are like 10 players who could conceivably be number one. There isn't like one player who is like far and above everybody else. Maybe not 10. It's probably like 5 or 6. I'm looking at a mock draft that came out this morning from DraftKings. Okay, it's DraftKings, right? It's not ESPN. It's not whatever, but it's DraftKings. And it says that if the Spurs won the lottery, like outright won the number 1 overall pick, that they should pursue Stefan Castle out of UConn. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a name because we hear other names like Alex Sarr. We hear names like Nikola Topic. Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepard, all of these different players that are ballers.
Yeah.
But there's something wrong with all of them. Like Reed Shepard would be number 1 overall if he was 2 inches taller.
Right.
You look at Rob Dillingham from Kentucky and you think to yourself, man, this guy, he's either going to be Kemba Walker or he's going to be a bust. But you take a look at Stefan Castle. Stefan Castle, to me, has the highest ceiling, but maybe the lowest floor. Stefan Castle is going to have a good NBA career.
Right.
The guy is 6'6". He's a defensive wizard out there. He is just white on rice when it comes to defense. It's just offensively, he's just he's not bad offensively. He's just
Well, I think the good thing about this not being, I guess, if you want to find a silver and black lining, is the Spurs don't need a star, right? The Spurs have their number 1 guy. I mean,
we don't need bringing
another number 1 would might clog some stuff. So if you bring a guy that's a solid player, that's going to be a solid 10-year vet or whatever, down the road, that might be to the Spurs' advantage. And then, hey, if you do end up with that Toronto pick, who's to say don't package that for a trade?
Right.
Who knows, right? There's the the people on Twitter know because they know everything, right? Everybody knows everything. Yeah.
And more often than not, I'm right.
So
I like to Alparents and Goon.
I never like to speak in absolutes because I don't know for sure, but these are things that you're throwing around, right? If and the good thing about it, or the funny thing is, like after every playoff series, someone takes a loss, like let's say the Cleveland were to take that loss, it was hey, Donovan Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
Whoever's disgruntled wants to leave. If they would have lost that to Magic, we would have heard all that, right? But packaging those picks for a guy like Donovan Mitchell or something like that, I'm just throwing out names. That's not a bad idea.
Well, let's look at my guy Stefan Castle over here. Yeah. We got some highlights courtesy of CBS and TNT. 6'6".
Yeah.
The guy has the size to play the 2.
Yeah.
He has the handles to play a 1. Although he's Derek White, dude.
Yeah. So he's like, he's a 2 and a 3, right?
He's a 1, 2, 3 type of thing. Yeah. He basically is a Derek White type of creature, and as we're watching highlights of him, in the tournament, he can shoot the 3 from once in a while, but he can attack.
Yeah.
Now his shooting percentage from 3 is closer to 30%. Not that great, but it's just one of those things. He can dribble. You can see he can pass. Yeah. He's a pretty good player.
Yeah, solid guy. Solid guy.
This to me is high ceiling. He's not going to suck. Because he plays defense. And this is why Minnesota is so good right now.
Right.
When they say, home team advantage, home court advantage, what travels? Defense. Defense travels no matter where you go.
Sure.
But this type of play right here.
Yeah, shooting, sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Right. That's what I tell my son. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. Castle looks. I think the problem is someone's gonna say like, but that's your number 1 pick.
I know.
I think that number 1 pick stigma sometimes is a bad thing. Because he dude's solid. He's a good player, but it's like, but a number 1. It's what I mean. Like that's almost a detriment to you.
Because Wemby was the number 1 before.
Yeah. When you compare to, you say to yourself, hey, this kid's good, but if you draw him number 1, you expect him to be like out of this world. Well, he has to be because he's the number 1 pick.
Do you know who he reminds me of a little bit? I mentioned Derek White, kind of Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, which is not a bad.
Maxey developed an offensive game later on.
Sure.
But this is somebody who's a defensive-minded guy. they're showing nothing but offensive highlights, but really what he is known for is, look, I'm
Yeah.
going to guard you.
Yeah, he's
92
guarding him from
feet.
He's already there, right? He's already digging down. He's guarding, and I think
See, he's just a lockdown defender,
sure,
who happens to be able to run the break and pass it out.
And
the
the Spurs are they're gonna try to develop his 3 game, right? That's what they would do if they drafted this kid. It would be try to get him that 3-and-D guy. Hey, I like the name Castle.
Look at those ups, baby.
I like the Castle because I think we could do something with the alien and the castle, and there's a marketing thing there, so I kind of like that aspect of it.
Again, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, they said that the Spurs win the number 1 overall pick. That don't be surprised that Stephon Castle is that guy.
But they always have a foreign niche, right? We know that. We know the Spurs love foreign guys. So who knows, man? It's I think this also considered a weak quote unquote draft because there's not like a clear cut number 1.
Yeah,
right. I think that's whenever you see a weak draft, it would be like, well, there's no clear cut number 1. So I don't know. I think it's a hindsight, thing. Where was Anthony Edwards drafted?
Number 2.
Number 2 was number 2 overall. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because what draft was that? That was like 3 years ago. He was drafted in the top 2. Yeah. I know that because again, why everybody knew he was going to be good.
Yeah,
he was in the top 2. The 2020 draft. He was drafted number 1 overall.
Okay,
it was James Wiseman.
Oh, that's right. It was Wiseman Ball. Okay, I remember that.
Yeah,
that was a back and forth. I remember people were like, "Well, Wiseman was the guy, the height, right?" People, people fall in love with height, right? With a big guy. So it was like the Zion year, right? Everybody was back and forth. The Greg Oden, Kevin Durant year. It was kind of back and forth, right? I mean, imagine if they would have drafted, Oden over Kevin, right?
Agreed. DA reaches out and says Tyrese Maxey is Rob Dillingham. That's possible. They went to the same college for crying out loud. Well, and I'll tell you what, that's another thing, right? There's something to be said, in my opinion, of these guys that come from these blue blood schools. Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky and UConn starting to get their Duke. I mean, they're playing on
coaching.
I mean, so to me, there's something there when the Spurs didn't used to have a lot of those kind of guys. I know we have Keldon, who was a Kentucky guy, but like historically, you didn't have a lot of blue blood guys in San Antonio and from college. Right.
JHNSB says Sohan would have thrown that pass into the stands. Oh my god! I'm not the only one who gives some Sohan hate.
Yeah.
It's not hate. It's not hate.
Yeah. Hey man, we got to give a shout out to one of our boys, man, listener of the show. Fan of the show. Yeah. Good overall, dude. Tex-Mex Frank sent me some new Texican hats, man.
Nice.
In the mail. We're gonna give these away to y'all boys. So. We're gonna have some giveaways.
There are some giveaways.
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys supporting all the love, man. So when are y'all gonna win a hat?
Yeah. DA reaches out to us and says Alex Sarr is the next Wiseman. Jeez, man, that's sad. But right now, you look at the Spurs' odds of winning the lottery. Again, winning the lottery is moving into the top 4. Spurs had the 5th worst record in the NBA, thanks to winning 6 of the last 10 games. They made their way from 3rd worst to 5th worst. Spurs have a 10.5% chance of getting number 1 overall pick, 10.5 of getting number 2, 10.5 of getting number 3, 10.5 of getting number 4.
Can you imagine if they got number 1 again? That reminds me of the Orlando Magic. Remember when they won with Shaq and then they won the next year? And I want to say, did Cleveland win back-to-back once? I feel like
it's happened once before.
Happened, yeah. That'd just be insane.
Now the lowest odds are the Spurs getting the 5 and 9 pick, right? Which is 2.2% for 5 and less than 1% for being number 9. But the Spurs, if you want to know what the highest odds are, 27% chance of being number 7. Nearly a 20% chance of being number 6, which basically means you're not winning the lottery at that point, right? You look at Toronto. Toronto has a 46% chance of being in the top 6, 54% chance of kicking that pick over the Spurs. Yeah. And that Spurs pick would be 7, 8, 9, or 10. So it's possible the Spurs could be picking back-to-back. I mean, the Spurs could be picking 7 and 8.
7 and 8, right? I'm interested to see if they do get that pick and if they trade it or do they trade up with it. You know what I mean? I'm just curious to see that, what they do what they do with that, because I think there's a lot of flexibility there. I think there's a trade for a star. There's a trade up in the draft. Or draft them, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Do you ever go to Tankathon to simulate the lottery?
No. I don't do that. I see enough people doing that on Twitter.
Okay, so I simulated it one
Look
time,
at
and
that.
it
You
said
did it right now. Look at that.
It
Hey,
said-
they had them back to
7-8.
back. You just said that. You had them
7-8.
Exactly.
Reed Shepard and Matas Buzelis.
I mean, that wouldn't be a horrible thing. I mean, honestly, they obviously it'd be better to draft sooner. But
look at this. They would have, if the Kings
Yeah.
won, it would be Zachary Richarche, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I simulate it again, it has the Pistons taking
They still have
Richarche.
Reece- yeah.
How's the Spurs go after Reed Shepard? Okay,
Fourth.
so
Yeah.
let's talk about Reed Shepard. I don't know how familiar you are with his game, but
Mhm.
again, another blue blood
Mhm.
Kentucky guy. Reed Shepard, I want to call some highlights of this dude because I can be talked into this thing, okay? And I don't want you to think anything badly about me when I say this,
Oh, too late for that.
but Reed Shepard might have gone sooner in the
Mhm.
draft if he was not so pigmentally challenged.
Oh man.
This guy,
Uh,
if he was black, would be considered a top 3 pick.
Ooh,
I'm sorry.
Ooh,
Let's watch him. He is 6'4".
this
He's
is like
a 6'4" combo
This
guard.
reminds me of that Isaiah Thomas, Larry Bird thing, where he said if he was black, he'd just be another dude. Larry Bird. Anyway,
But
just get back to it. Yeah.
let's just watch some Reed Shepard highlights
Yeah.
according brought to you by ESPN and SEC
Sure.
Network. But you just watch him play. The guy is a bucket getter.
Yeah.
If I showed you his college stats,
And see, but here's the thing: we're talking about that this is a quote unquote weak draft. I think they say it's weak because there's not like a star,
Right.
but that's not to say that these guys that are balling are gonna can't come in and help NBA teams and be solid. You know what I mean? Think about it. How often do you have the Wembys, the LeBrons, the Jordans? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're so far and few between. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I understand what they mean when they say it's a weak draft because there's no big star coming out of there. But I don't think that means that, it's going to be bad for these teams to get these players. I guess is what I'm saying.
can I tell you Reed Shepard's stats, by the
Sure.
way? He's 6'4", right? 6'3" in some books. So 6'3", 6'4" with shoes, right?
Yeah.
Averaged 12.5 points per game. He's a rookie, well, a freshman last year, but 19 years old.
Yeah.
Tell me if you think this is a good 3-point shooting percentage. And he shot volume threes,
Mhm.
52.1% for the year.
Damn.
Wow.
The guy just,
Wow.
I
Listen,
mean,
He's a
just-
walking bucket, man.
The difference between Dillingham and
Yeah.
Shepard is Shepard is going to light you up from three.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and compare him to another white guy, Austin Reeves.
Mhm.
Just a guy that just burns the net.
I mean,
He doesn't even need the rim. Just
Right.
put the net out
he's-
there.
He's a bit. Was he a bigger JJ Redick or not? Or is he
About the same size JJ Redick.
I mean,
That's the type of player you would be getting.
And I'm not. We're talking. We have. The Roger Mason.
But he
Gary
plays
Neals.
defense also.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. That's a better concept to have a guy that can shoot threes and then
Yeah.
also play defense because you don't got to develop the three with this kid.
You know who else would be a really good match for the San Antonio Spurs if you want to go down the rabbit hole? My boy, man,
Let's do it.
Robbie Avila.
He'd be a marketing
Dude.
juggernaut.
Oh,
He'd be a marketing juggernaut in San
the
Antonio.
best
Let me tell you.
nickname,
Larry
man.
Blur.
Let me tell you.
Larry Blur.
Yeah.
Cream Abdul-Jabbar. The college Jokic. That one's my
What was the
favorite.
Curry one? It was Seth Blurry.
Seth Blurry, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at, and this is funny because I was
Yeah.
looking at this on Sportskeeda. 5 landing spots for the Indiana State's Robbie Avila. Number 1, San Antonio Spurs, dude.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious. Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Have we figured out what his ethnicity is? Because
It doesn't matter, dude.
just the name Avila means he has some sort of Spanish in him
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. The kid, I like watching him play, dude. He's fun to watch, but would it really translate those skills at the NBA level? Probably not, But hypothetically, I mean, he's already entered the transfer portal. I don't know if he's really going to be available for the NBA draft. But if he did, I mean, he'd probably be a very late pick if somebody wanted to
Yeah.
take a chance on him. But
According
it'd be
to
funny to see him in a Spurs jersey.
Yeah.
according to Wikipedia, his dad's Mexican.
Oh, there you go, man.
Yeah.
He's
But-
puro then.
But
Yeah.
he's I don't know.
Yeah.
He's from Oak Forest, Illinois, and he plays in Indiana. He probably pronounces them tacos.
Oh, man.
He'd be a marketing juggernaut. I'll tell you that in San Antonio. They'd
Dude,
be
just the
all
goggles.
the-
People would
yeah,
push up with
all the,
goggles.
yeah. Oh yeah, everybody would show up with the goggles. They'd have the shirts, the pulga,
Oh,
the
dude.
pulga shirts would be rocking.
So I know your girl Chicana Fuerte is here.
Yeah,
What's
she's
going
here.
on,
She's
Steph?
in the house. She's in the house. She's behind the scenes.
So what happens if it's just me and you on the streets of Paris next January?
Oh, that wouldn't be that wouldn't even be a thought, bro. That wouldn't even be a thought. You know
She's
Who's gonna fall in the
she's
river,
gotta-
man?
she's gotta
Somebody's
come to
going in the
Paris.
river.
She's
You know,
gotta come to Paris with us.
If he puros in Paris and Mexicans in Morocco, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Man.
Mike could be over there, even in Paris. I don't know if I can do this, man. This part of Paris is too ethnic for me.
Now, have you ever been to Paris before?
You know what? I have not. I have not been to Paris. I've been to Europe. I've been to Spain, Italy, Greece. But I've not been to Paris.
I've been the other side. I've done France. Well, I've done
Yeah,
Paris. I've done Belgium,
Mhm.
and I've done Netherlands,
Okay.
Amsterdam,
Okay.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I went there. I celebrated my 20th birthday there,
Mhm.
and I'll never forget. My sister was over there with her friends from church.
Yeah.
And they were out there just doing a European vacation, and she was there for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm over here at Texas State.
Yeah.
It's called Southwest Texas State.
I remember that.
And
I remember that.
And I'm at Southwest Texas State.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Hey, come at me. Come with me to Europe."
Mhm.
Within 3 days, I got a passport. You can get a passport in 3 days.
Oh yeah, you can.
And I got a
You got a
ticket.
ticket. Yeah.
$299. I'll never forget going to
Wow.
Paris round trip.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Flew into
Yeah.
Orly
You see
Airport.
Sith, man. He's like you, Mike. He likes to make shit weird, dude.
Mike's gonna try to pat Rick down. Steph wouldn't allow it.
Again?
TSA check.
Steph wouldn't allow it. Let me tell you that.
So like I mentioned, I was asleep 20 out of 24 hours yesterday.
Oh man.
I woke up and I got on Twitter for like 5 seconds and I saw me was it Gringo of the Day. What was that all about?
No. I saw the meme of the day.
yeah,
bro.
they were just the Cinco de Mayo. They were doing Gringo of the Day or Mexican of the Day or something like that. right?
Okay.
I mean, he
And they,
made the list, Mike.
yeah,
I got
he
Well,
did.
nice.
Yes.
What are the qualifications?
There you go.
There
There
it
it is.
Look at
man.
that. Look at that. That they said that was you. Sith is he's undefeated with the memes.
They're
man.
fast.
Yeah.
They're
for sure.
fast.
That's
man.
man. You could you do that, dude? You wouldn't do that in front of the White House. You didn't want to be all puro out there with the barbecue grill, the low riders.
Dude, I was
Let me tell you. Speaking of lowriders, man, Steph and I were at Barrio Dog yesterday.
Nice.
I got this shirt. Barrio Dog. So they're a hot. Remember I took you to the Barrio Dog when you came to San Diego?
yeah.
Yeah. So they have one here now. They opened a Barrio Dog here in Southtown.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So they had they've had like a soft opening, but this weekend for Cinco de Mayo was their grand opening, and it was bumping. Steph and I were there yesterday.
Really?
They had lowriders. They had it's right there in Southtown. What is it? It used to be what, baby? Senor Frog or what is it? Senor Veggie? I
Nice.
guess where
Senor Frog. So you're coming-
No, there's a Senor Frog in San Diego. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. But no, so yes, Barrio. Shout out to Barrio Dog, man. If you got a chance, man, they have some amazing food and great drinks.
That was
And the
good.
funny thing about the drinks is they're called like La Toxica, La Chismosa.
Aye.
Like they have all these names for the drinks, you know.
And
so-
Yeah.
I probably had COVID when I hung out with you the first
Oh
time.
man, yeah, you probably did. Yeah, luckily I didn't
sick
get
as
it.
a dog.
yeah,
But you
were.
know why Rick
Yeah.
didn't get sick, man? Because if you've been to Joe's Volcano or you hung out at Bargain
Yeah.
Boozery,
Dude,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're immune, bro.
Dude,
You're immune.
I'm a veteran of Joe's Volcano.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
but you still got it.
You know,
And I did too.
If you watch it on Comedy Central has it on for like, I don't know, an hour and a half.
Yeah,
They condense it to make it funny,
right.
but this was 3 hours
was
and
just-
20
yeah.
minutes,
So it
man.
was raw. Some of it was funny. Some of it wasn't. Some of it was over
Some
the
of the
top,
jokes hit
of
and
it-
some of them
yeah,
didn't.
Sure. But that's what happens with live, right? You kind of run that risk. But yeah, I saw some clips of this.
Yeah, Tom Brady did not like what Jeff Ross was saying. It was, I got a little bit upset about something, you know,
Yeah.
about the massage, Robert Kraft
Yeah.
massage
Wow.
allegations and whatnot.
Yeah, he told him to stop saying that.
What I
Yeah.
found funny though was that there was at the end, they brought out the big guns.
Yeah.
And they had Peyton Manning out there.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck kind of wet the bed out there. His was awful. But then Peyton Manning goes out there and just rips him a new one.
Mhm.
Just rips him a new one, talking about how in the Manning household, taking a dump is called taking a Brady.
Taking a Devlin.
Yeah. So it was funny because he was going off about how they talk about Brady all the time at Thanksgiving and they relive the glory that was Eli Manning
Yeah.
going up and beating him twice
Mm.
and all that stuff. And when Brady finally went up there to do the rebuttal, now
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, it's not like he wrote the jokes, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
at least signed
Sure,
off on
sure,
them.
sure.
going off and saying that basically saying that the F word in his mind is Eli.
Yeah.
But he goes on to say, can you believe the NFL spent $20 million investigating Deflategate? He goes, think about how much money that is and all that stuff. And he goes, they could have given me the $20 million and I would have just told them, yeah, I did deflate them. It was like he admitted it and everyone started laughing.
Yeah.
But they were making fun of all the people there. Julian Edelman was there.
Edelman was there. I saw Drew Bledsoe was there, which was pretty
Drew
cool, right? Because
Bledsoe.
Drew Bledsoe, if those of you who know, Drew Bledsoe was the starting quarterback, right?
Yes.
And then Tom Brady came in and all that.
Brady's rookie year.
Yeah, rookie year. So Drew, he heard what he said, right? He said, you're got used to not being touched on the field, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always a lot being made about how nobody can hurt and touch on Tom Brady, right? And he said, well, you got used to not being touched on the field, just like at the end of your marriage.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. And so and then they pan over to Tom Brady and he has 2 drinks and he's double fisted. Anyway, I mean, there were some cool moments, right? And I said, I saw the highlights later. I didn't see the whole thing, but there was some cool moments. That was pretty funny.
Well,
I just thought it was funny because it came from Drew Bledsoe, the guy who he took his job.
The worst joke though, the most tasteless joke that I saw in the hour that I watched was Tom Brady mentioning the fact that the terrible thing that happened when in September of 2001, when 2 jets collided with Drew Bledsoe's legs.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's like, is it too soon to do a 9/11 joke? Because I didn't realize it. It was September of 01.
Yeah.
And it was 2 jets that took them down.
Yeah. That's kind of creative to see that, right? To see that connection. But yeah, that's kind of tough.
Yeah,
we're gonna get into this, man.
Randy Moss coming out saying, why couldn't you cheat when I was there?
Yeah.
Hey, but we need to get into the Drake beef, man. That one's been pretty funny with Kendrick Lamar, man.
Yeah,
they've been going back and forth,
taking over everything, man. I can't get on any kind of social media without seeing someone talk about that.
Dude, it's so contrived, man. It's so much like the lead up to a boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this comedian come up on TikTok over the weekend talking about this and saying, I need a PowerPoint presentation as to what's going on. Just give me give me the
executive summary. I need the executive summary.
Because none of this seems to be making any sense. And why do we care about Drake and Kendrick Lamar? I mean, should we care? I mean, there's been beefs before.
Right.
I mean, you had T Swift and Kanye and to some extent Kim Kardashian. That was okay. You had John Mayer being a douchebag to various people back in the day. I was like, okay. But then back in the 90s when you had the West Coast and East Coast.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say that, right? I was going to say, when you talk about the Ice Cube and the NWA breaking up and all that beef, there was danger
real.
There. Yeah, there's real danger.
That was
there,
real,
right? Like there's real danger. This beef nowadays is just haha Twitter stuff, right?
Yeah.
Back then, there was danger.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? When you talk about, the Ice Cubes and the Dre's and
someone's going to get shot.
Yeah. That's nothing to laugh about.
Yeah, Tupac ain't here for a reason.
Right. Yeah. This stuff now, it's fodder for comedy and TikTok.
Now, the whole thing about Biggie not being here for a reason, the guy was 450 pounds. He was probably going to be gone at some point.
Yeah,
it is what it is. But, dude, I went to the Museum of Pop Culture, Mopop, in Seattle a couple years ago.
Seattle's awesome. I love Seattle.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
They had Biggie's suit on display. It was the biggest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life, man. I don't know what Biggie's weight was, but it was the biggest suit I had ever seen in my entire life. And they didn't even stretch it out. It was just on a hanger, You could probably stretch it out even more,
Yeah.
But that beef, I have no understanding about what it is. Maybe it's my age.
Yeah, could be.
But I'm there going, who cares about Drake's beef and who cares about Kendrick Lamar's beef? They're both talented. I like Kendrick Lamar better than I do Drake. Mm-hmm. Drake has that one just nasally, whiny voice that just, it's like I heard this on every other song before, by the way.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar's a little bit more, he's the one winning the awards,
Yeah. There's more talent there, right?
He does have more.
There's more to it than just, hey, I'm going to get up here and someone's going to write me a song and I'm going to perform it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Kendrick's a little more raw and more in the cut, if you will, right?
Dude, country beef was also good as well when the Dixie Chicks pissed off people. I mean, even that one was funny.
They dropped the Dixie, right?
Yeah,
right? They're just the chicks.
Yeah, Lady Antebellum is just Lady A.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy, right? Like how times change, right? That's like something to talk about. And we talk about, You know, I know I seen something recently with like Jerry Seinfeld where he said a lot of the jokes from Seinfeld wouldn't play out today because in the 90s, you know, you could joke about race or different things or whatever the case may be. So it is interesting looking at stuff in like revisionist style where what played out in the 80s and 90s, you know, movies or comedy or whatever.
Well,
like,
stuff from the 70s wouldn't have played in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this
all
comment.
The family
and it wasn't that long ago.
All in the family wouldn't have played in the 90s.
Yeah,
Look at the comment.
The Drake and Kendrick beef is Marbach nice. Nah, I don't even know if it's that, man. You know, it might be Stone Oak nice, you know?
Yeah.
No,
but yeah, no, you're right. 70s, you know, but it wasn't that long ago. Like in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
It was, you know, it wasn't that long ago.
Well, no,
we're not talking about, you know, the 30s and, you know, 20s.
Well,
you know,
no, we got to go back here. I saw this meme the other day that really hurt my feelings. It says that we're as far back away from 1995
I saw that. Yeah.
as 95 was from the Beatles.
Yeah, the 60s, right? Yeah, no, that's true. That's amazing to think about. But what I'm saying is like the stuff we're talking about from the 70s in the grand scheme, it wasn't that long ago, but it's amazing to think how far we've come to where you can't say certain
now
things.
How old are you?
I'm 41.
You're 41.
Yeah,
okay.
1983.
Okay, so I believe that there's an old 41 and a young 41. There's an old 40.
There's an old 21.
I turned 47.
There's an old 21, and I
turned 47. But you know what? My butt is at a Foo Fighters concert. My butt is at a Killers concert.
Well, I'll tell you what keeps my 40-year-old ass young is this beautiful one sitting next to me over there. You know, she's a 90s baby. You know what I mean?
Counting points.
So she's a 90s. She's a 90s baby. So that's what keeps me young. You know what I'm saying?
90s baby.
She's a 90s baby.
Let me do the math here.
She's a 90s baby. you know what's funny is my oldest son is a 90s baby.
Oh my
God. She's smack in the middle between me and my oldest son.
My daughter has told me. My oldest daughter has told me that
she's blushing. She looks cute when she blushes.
My oldest daughter has told me that she doesn't want me to get me with me to be with anybody that is within 18 years of her.
Ooh, 18?
Yeah, so she's like,
how old is your daughter?
She's 20 plus 18. She's like, no more 38? Than 38.
No, that's 18's a little. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Oh, well, I know, but she's saying, don't you go after a 33-year-old?
I would say 10 years, right?
But that'll dips down into 37.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, for your daughter to say, you know, she needs to be 18 years different.
She goes,
that's a lot.
She goes, I don't want to be go have Thanksgiving with you, Dad, and it'd be with somebody that was in 8th grade when I was born.
They have a lot in common. There was a Full House episode like that where Danny Tanner was dating this young girl. And she was like hanging out with DJ and they were like jamming out, you know? Yeah. And then he comes in and like, young lady, turn that down, you know? And the girl's like, you sound like my dad, you know? So
Sith always making stuff weird, dude. He's like, Howard the Duck wouldn't get
nowadays, you know. Okay, you know what? By the way, we don't often talk politics here, but she jumped into pop culture. Do you know who Kristi Noem is?
I don't.
Kristi Noem is the governor of South Dakota. Mm-hmm. She's known for a couple of things. She's very, very conservative. Mm-hmm. She's very, very Trump supportive. I think she wants to become vice presidential candidate and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Here she is in the red MAGA hat. Okay. She's actually kind of a smoking hot smoke show herself. She released a book, and in the excerpt said that she killed a 1-year-old dog, shot it.
Wow.
Because it didn't hunt.
she's the second coming of Sarah Palin. She's like she's like a Sarah Palin clone.
So do you think that could fly right now in the year 2024? Do you think that would hurt the chances of them?
You know, this is what I think, and it's kind of sad. If somebody has whatever their agenda is, right? Like if they're Republican or Democrat or whatever their agenda is, they will curtail whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you're my boy and you do something, that's my boy. I got his back. But if I don't like you and you do the same exact thing, all of a sudden it's an issue.
Okay,
you see what I'm saying?
Yes. He says 14-month-old pointer named Cricket.
Yeah.
After the dog has shown aggressive behavior and also was not a very good hunting dog, so she just took a gun to it and killed it.
Wow.
The hell?
All you did was
what in the blood in, blood out is this?
All you did was leave your dogs out in a little bit of rain and look all the heat you got. Yeah. She's blasted. She's old yellering, you know, a young dog who not
a 15-year-old dog, a 1-year-old dog.
So yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, you could just let him out in the wild.
In dog years, it was 8.
I'm like, you still had purpose, man. You could have let him work on the farm or something, you know?
You know what?
Yeah.
F this dog.
That's wild, man. Hey. Yeah, that's probably not going to go over well, you know. But like I said, if you subscribe to whatever the agenda is, you flip it into to make it fit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's so funny.
Hey, you know what? We got to go ahead and give some love to our boy, Chris Leha of MCS General Contracting, because we got to bring this thing, start closing it
Absolutely.
up. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
Got that diamond hard concrete over there.
Hey, man.
I'm a customer myself, baby.
I'll tell you, man, Chris Leha works hard, man. Him and his crew, him and his team, man, they put in a lot of work, a lot of good stuff out there,
Yeah,
man.
man,
So shout out to him.
And you know what? Cody and Duncan haven't gotten out since. But apparently Duncan is out of USOA because according to Civ, Duncan is out for irreconcilable differences, I think is what he's going for there. But the thing about that is that apparently my dog was the mascot of the United Sucios of America. Is that what that was?
Yeah.
But apparently that they thought that he'd be a mole telling me all the secrets of what was going on in USOA.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore he's out.
Infiltrated. You thought he infiltrated that reminds me of that Austin Powers, you know, that mole.
Mole.
Yeah. That Fred Savage. Remember that?
Yeah.
Fred Savage. Yeah. That's wild, man.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Again, tonight we got 2 games in the NBA.
And the official announcement.
Official announcement of Rookie of
the Year, which we know is Wemby. Tomorrow is the announcement of the Defensive Player of the Year.
6:30 tip-off. We got the Pacers and Knicks. I believe that's game 1 of that series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Brunson's balling. Well,
Brunson's balling.
Brunson's balling, bro. You know, so here's the thing, though. Every year someone gets hot. And every year it's there the next, this, that, and the third. But we'll see, man. Brunson's been balling. I got to give him credit.
They're traveling, man. That crowd for the Knicks right now, I would see them going to Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
And raiding that
Absolutely,
arena.
Yeah.
And they say there's nothing to do in San Antonio. What can you do in Indiana, dude?
Ooh,
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's a good point, man. I'll tell you what, man. New York, those fans, they've needed this, man. You know, and you know, it's a big market, and we talk about markets. And I think when the New York Knicks are doing good, it's good for the league. It's good for everybody. I mean, I will say that. So I like it. I don't mind it.
It's been 52 years since they last 1970 72.
You know, when the last time
time,
I remember this vaguely a time they went to the finals. I don't know.
I know
something. I don't know, like
late
99 or something. I don't know.
Late 90s. It was a strike short season.
Yeah. Some shortened season that probably has an asterisk, right, or something. Yeah.
But Minnesota wins tonight. The series is over.
Oh, I'll tell you, Denver. I mean, I don't like to talk in superboles and hyperbole and that kind of stuff, but this could be a must win for Denver.
Yes.
I hate to say it's a must win in game 2, but man, let me tell you, you go down 0-2 at home. That's tough. Now I have seen teams flip flop where the road team wins.
Oh yeah,
first and so I've seen that, but I'm just saying
it doesn't happen often.
It happens, but yeah, exactly. It's usually the other way. That's why, like when a home team goes up 2-0, I usually don't get I don't get excited because okay, you won at home, big deal. That's what you're supposed to do.
You hold and serve.
Supposed to, exactly. So to me though, if Denver goes down 0-2 at home, wow. Stand by because that Minnesota team, that Minnesota crowd is going to be rocking.
ESPN released an article this morning saying the Dallas Mavericks signed Jason Kidd to a multi-year extension to be their head coach or remain as their head coach.
Yep.
There was some chatter that the Lakers might be interested in Kidd after they fired Darvin Ham, their third coach in 3 years.
Yeah. I've heard different names for the Lakers. I've heard JJ Redick surface.
No.
Yeah,
I like that name. Yeah, I like it.
Budenholzer,
I like it.
Our guy Budenholzer was
Coach Bud
about. Yeah,
he's a champion.
Yeah,
he's a champion.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a guy like JJ Redick. It's an LA name. Yeah, it's a name. It's a big deal. Honestly, when they got Darvin Ham, I was kind of surprised just because Darvin Ham's not a bad coach, but he's not a name guy. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, LA needs a name. They'd rather have the controversy, the star name. So somebody like JJ Redick going to LA, I could see it.
Let's take a look at LeBron James and the difference between LeBron James and a Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan had pop his entire career.
Yep.
LeBron James had Paul Silas, Brendan Malone, Mike Brown, Eric Spoelstra, David Blatt, Tyronn Lue, Luke Walton, Fred Vogel, Darvin Ham.
Wow. And they did Blatt wrong, man. Because Blatt actually had a good record with him, and they just moved him on because Ty Lue was waiting in the wings. I feel like LeBron wants that name. He wants that players coach.
Yeah.
Right? The quote unquote players coach. So to me, guys like Vogel and Darvin Ham, they're great X's and O guys, but they're not going to be that player coach. I guess.
So his next coach will be the 10th one in his career.
10th. That's crazy. That's wild. 10th coach, man.
Outstanding. Again, those big games are tonight. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. We'll also be celebrating Victor Wembanyama being named Rookie of the Year, which is going to happen.
It's going to happen.
The question is going to be: is it unanimous or not?
Yeah,
that's
I feel
the
like
big deal.
Someone's going to put an OKC spin on and give one vote, elsewhere. I feel like that's going to happen.
It's happened a couple of times before. Actually, Tim Duncan was not unanimous because someone gave a vote to Keith Van Horn that year. But Ralph Sampson, David Robinson, Blake Griffin, Dame Lillard, and Karl Anthony Towns are the 5 that were unanimous.
Unanimous, yeah.
Rookie of the year.
I think Wemby
so
should
it's
be
been about a
unanimous.
decade.
Yeah, I think Wemby should be unanimous. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Chet's gonna get some love.
Yeah,
Chet will be the runner-up, but he might get a little bit of love. I'm not saying it's deserving.
Sure.
But Wemby showed so much in February, March, and April that he should win that running away.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
My name is Mike Jimenez. This is Fernandez, Ric Fernandez.
Yeah.
Chicana Fuerte here, serving drinks.
Yeah.
Joe Garcia has been producing today's show. We'll be back tomorrow.